Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Advanced DonorScape webinar training. My name is Kat Banakis, and I am the Manager for Client Engagement and Support at Grenzenbach Lear & Associates Analytics.
And I'm Colin Daniels, a data analyst at GGNA.
Today we're going to be going over some of the advanced features of DonorScape, including how to add new records, how to update existing records, and how to add, edit, assign, and delete users.
We'll be answering any questions you have throughout this webinar. To submit a question, hover over the green bar at the top of your screen and look for a chat or Q&A button, and direct those questions towards host, which is me. Any questions that we aren't able to get to during this session will be answered as a part of the follow-up transcript that will be emailed out to all registrants. Following this session, we'll send out a link to a recording of today's session, a transcript of answers to any questions we didn't get to during the session, and a copy of our Getting Started with DonorScape guide. If at any point during the webinar you are experiencing any technical difficulties, please email our colleague Heather McCown at hmccoun@grenzglier.com. That's GRENZGLIER.com. That's hmccoun@grenzglier.com. Or call our meeting provider, WebEx, directly at 866-229-3239. That's 866-229-3239.
We love to receive your questions throughout the session, so please send them in frequently and anytime you feel moved to do so. We promise not to single you out and to incorporate the answer as we move along. It makes it much more fun. And finally, on an official note, I need to tell you that all names presented during our training session are from public records and bear no relationship to any GGNA client institutions. The names have been appended with fictional giving and relationship data and are included for demonstration purposes only. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to be looking at is how to load new prospects into the system. And the first thing we want to do before loading prospects into the system is to make sure that we have searches remaining and so that there are enough searches in your contract that you can load new people into the system. The way that you find that out is as soon as you log in at mydonorscape.com, you're going to look here to this searches remaining, and it tells you how many new prospect searches you have left in your account, and here we have more than enough to get started. And we go then from the Home tab, where we see how many we have, over to the Search tab. And you will recall that in DonorScape, the word search means to search all of the databases for information about your new prospect. It is not querying for your prospects within the system. And we have three options of how to add new prospects to the system. We can add them one at a time through the prospect individual new prospect search. We can add them at up to 5,000 records at a time through the Express Upload feature, or we can add them with more than 5,000 prospects at a time through the batch update process, which means that you would send those records to us here at GGNA, and we load them for you. So let's begin by looking at loading one prospect at a time. And I'm going to do that here through the individual name search function. And the benefit of doing this is that you can look at a person really relatively quickly and see what information is available about them before you use up a search on them, because it's going to display for us at the bottom what information is available in all of the different databases on this particular prospect. The downside, though, is that it doesn't allow you to include a prospect ID, and it's just going to randomly assign that prospect ID. So their ID isn't going to match with what you necessarily have in your donor management system. If we had business information, we'd put it in here, the spouse address, the seasonal address. The other thing, though, that it doesn't allow us to input is anything about their giving history. So the positive is that loading one name at a time is fast. It's going to allow us to figure out if there's good data available on them before we go ahead and accept them as a match. So here we see that we've got one LexisNexis property match for them. It's of exact quality, so it's a really high quality match. No more historical information available about them, about our friend Toby. So because it's a good quality match, I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, I want to submit the record. You can put here notation on why you're submitting it if you want that sort of audit trail internally within the notes function. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And we have a question here.
They want to know if donor IDs can be edited to match with their system that they're using.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is no, not exactly, because our primary key or main identifier within the DonorScape system is the prospect ID, and that's what we use to identify individuals within the system, because you could have two John Smiths, but you're going to have unique prospect IDs. So if you were to go and decide at some point that you wanted to go in and change their ID later, it can be done, but it has to be done by us at GG&A, and it's not simple. So we don't recommend that as a practice, and it can't be done in any sort of interactive function by you, which is a great question. So that is our one individual prospect loading. We see him here. We can look up all of his records and that. And so then we're going to turn to loading up to 5,000 prospects at a time through the Express Upload function.
All right, so for the Express Upload function, it's in this tab under search called Express Upload. And after you get to this page, you will see a few things. There's an instructional PDF that you can download and look at, as well as a template, which is pretty important. And so we'll download that now so you can see it. Also, before we go to look at the template, take note that of your account ID, which is listed right here in red. You need this when you're uploading through this method, and we'll show you where you would put that. So opening this template, we can see a number of different columns. There are quite a few. Notice that some of the headers for the columns are different colors. The yellow columns are required. You must fill something in for this. If you do not, it will not upload correctly. So for one's your account ID, so you would enter whatever your account ID is. We actually have a test worksheet filled out, and so we'll show you that information right here.
So one of the quirky things about the system is that it's very technical as to how it wants everything filled out. So the instruction sheets in the PDF and in hovering, you will see exactly what the text specs are. If you want to input a prospect with your client management system ID in it, just use the Express Upload function, because there you see the third column over from the left over. You insert what you want the prospect ID to be, and we strongly recommend that that be the prospect ID in your donor management system. So if you have the information available, it's worth doing even just a couple new searches through this express upload function as opposed to the individual name search.
All right, so the yellow headers are required. You must have them. The green headers are required. They'll help you get better matches to...
They're recommended.
Yeah, they're recommended. And the white ones will help you, but they're not as important as the green ones, let alone the yellow ones. So if you go through, there's quite a few things you can fill out. Business information, your total giving, number of gifts, gift amounts, things like that. Spouse information. Now, at the end of the file, you'll see client-defined fields. These are fields that you can fill in your own information for. Like, say, if you had an indicator for whether they were active in your organization or not, you would enter Y or N or whatever in that. And you have to keep the name of the field the same, but if you go onto your account and go to the Administration tab and then Client-Defined Fields, you can define what they are. For us, in this account, we have two, an active indicator as well as, actually no, we don't. We just have one. But,
and you can also see it under View Prospect Details. If you go under Data Results, View Prospect Details, and you scroll down, it'll tell you what your client-defined fields are there as well. So you can't change what the header is in the template for uploading the new records, but you can see there what you've coded it with in the past.
So going back to the upload and our...
Once we have it filled out, we have to save it.
And we have to save this as a CSV file. So we go to File, Save As in Excel, and we just go to this drop-down and go down until we see comma delimited CSV. There's also a specific name format for the name you have to have, and that format is your account ID underscore, and then you can have whatever you want after that. So. And then press save. Gives you a warning.
Is that what you want? Yes.
Yeah, never mind. But anyway, it's saved. So back to this. We press choose file, browse to that file, click it, open, and press upload. Now, down here you'll see your Express upload history, and we see that the file we just uploaded has errors, and we can see what errors it actually has by clicking on the yes. And it says a column name is invalid, so that means that maybe one of our headers is misspelled. This usually won't happen if you're using the template. It also says that total giving dollar field must contain only numeric values. And so we go back to our file and we look through it, and over in total giving dollars, we see that we spelled out nothing. You should either put this to zero, or you can just leave it blank.
And you, if you look over the little hover dude thing, it specifies here that you can't have any commas, no dollar signs. It's just the numbers themselves that you can input into this total giving dollars column. And that's the specification for what you can have in the...
That'll also show up on all the other ones. 5 characters maximum for zip codes. That means they have to be in the short form for all of them. Otherwise, it didn't report the other errors because there was a header column error, but so if we look through our required fields, we can see that things are missing. So for home state, if we didn't know what this was, we would insert XX. But since we know all of these are in Alaska, we can just fill them in with.
And the column header error is sort of DonorScape's catch-all. So it's either going to be that we actually messed up a column header, entirely possible, or if you go back and you check your column headers, they're all right. What it means is that one of your required yellow columns had so many errors that the system was traumatized and it couldn't even communicate it. It was just beyond frustrated. So if you get the column header error, check your column headers, make sure you didn't accidentally change something, but then go and look at the yellow columns, because chances are you left too many blank or you did something grievously wrong in the text spec type.
All right. So now that we've edited this and saved it, we can go ahead and, that's the wrong one, go ahead and upload it again. So we just choose again and press upload. Now, there are errors again. This is actually the third thing that could be wrong with that column header error. These usually won't happen, but just to demonstrate we have this. And this is that...
Really, we did do this on purpose,
yeah.
We promise.
This means that there's a carriage return or maybe an extra empty column at the very end of your file or something like that. A carriage return would be like when you press enter in the middle of a row or something, it can't understand the file correctly. To fix this, the easiest thing to do is to just select all your data, copy it, and put it in a new file.
Even in a high-tech setting, the cut and paste is going to be our best solution here.
Another thing you want to do if you're having a lot of errors like that and you just don't know what to do, delete all the columns that you don't have anything in. That way, if there is something wrong with that column, deleting it will fix it. So, entering the name again. Save it.
Let's be sure to close it.
Yep. And now we want to do it yet again. And now when we upload it, we see that it says in progress. And that means that it has not detected any errors and is currently processing. Once it's done processing, it will show no for errors. All right.
And while that's having a thought of processing the records, if you were going to load more than 5,000 records at a time, you would fill out the same template, and then you would send it to us through the FTP, the filesend.donorscape.com, and we would process it and load it for you. The other thing you could do is to break up your file into fewer than 5,000 records at a time and load them separately, one after the other. You can't, though,